Hi, this is Alex with Maple Leaf Coffee Roasters in Roselle. I'm here to talk about a new dark roast single origin coffee from Indonesia that's also part of our holiday lineup. Check it out. This coffee has actually been part of the Maple Leaf story before even the business was established. It turns out this is one of the coffees that when my wife and I were actually dating, I would give to her as something that I roasted at home and use as an introduction to what a single origin dark roast coffee could be. Historically speaking, my wife had not grown up in a coffee drinking household, or at least not a good coffee drinking household. So it was always kind of an exciting opportunity for me to put something in front of her before we even opened the business that she would like. And this is the one that she sort of fell in love with, and my mom's favorite coffee too. So it has a real soft spot in my heart for those two reasons. It also happens to be one of the coffees that we have featured at Maple Leaf every single holiday season since we've been open in 2018. And it is one of those dark roast coffees that for us and for our customers, they do come to expect to see year after year. Enough that when we didn't see it one year, about 3 years ago, we had a lot of disappointed fans because we weren't able to get it. There were some supply chain disruptions and things that prevented us from being able to pull it in. So really interesting coffee from Indonesia. A lot of times when people have had a coffee from Indonesia, they're used to drinking something that was a Sumatran coffee. Usually the Sumatran coffees have that rougher, grittier taste. And this coffee doesn't actually have too much difference in some aspects to a Sumatran coffee. Indonesian coffees generally tend to be a little bit on the rougher, dirtier side of things, and not in a bad way dirty, but they're just something that has a distinctive taste to them that you just don't find in any other part of the world. And part of that is due to the processing method. So just to talk about the coffee a little bit itself, the reason why it's called the Blue Moon coffee, and we'll have some pictures up next to it, but you could also see in the tray here, the actual raw beans are kind of a bluish tint. And that partially comes from the wet hull process that these go through to remove the bean from the cherry. So historically speaking, we've always had coffees that are their natural wash coffees. Wet hull coffees are kind of like taking the wash process and moving it as quickly along as possible. In this part of the world, what the farmers are always trying to do is get the coffee to market as quickly as possible. And in order to do that, you can sort of speed up that wash process coffee just a little bit. Unfortunately, what that does result in is a physical size and shape and appearance that's not the super prettiest looking coffee in the world. And it does introduce some of those sort of distinctive, kind of dirtier tastes that you sometimes see out of the coffees coming out of Indonesia. But at the same time, that process does produce something that has a kind of robustness to it that you just don't find anywhere else, no matter how you roast the coffee. There is a kind of interesting like black pepper spice kind of aspect to a lot of Indonesian coffees, and no difference with this one. But there's just something very distinctive about this taste that our customers have grown to know and love over the years. As far as the taste goes, this is a interesting coffee for a dark roast in that it can be used as something that is a good introductory coffee to a dark roast for a lot of people, and especially for those folks who have had Sumatran coffees before and they think like, I just never liked the way it was roasted, or I didn't like the way it tasted. This is kind of like a light Sumatran in some respects, that it does have a little bit of the signature elements of an Indonesian coffee, but it has a cleaner, richer, almost citrusy orange kind of texture to it that you just don't find in other Indonesian coffees. It has a little bit of a dark chocolate kind of tint this year, as opposed to last year. It was a little bit more of a white chocolate kind of feel, and very kind of creamy, silky finish. This year is more, I think I described last year's version as kind of a velvety finish, velvety and silky, maybe sometimes interchangeable terms. But the thing that you need to take away from that kind of finish note is that it is something that, while it will leave a little bit of an aftertaste, it won't leave a dirty or rough aftertaste. It'll have a kind of a smoothness to it that you will just find really pleasant as you're drinking each and every sip of this cup. So I'm really excited, as always, to have this coffee on the shelf. We got 3 bags of it this year, and these are smaller size bags. They're 60 kilograms as opposed to the 69 or 70 that we see out of most other coffees. So while this is something that I am excited for us to have on the shelves, it also is something that we don't anticipate having for a super long period of time. So we try to game it out to have this in stock between the Thanksgiving holiday through the early part of the New Year. So we're really looking forward to everyone new and old giving this coffee a shot this year, and we'll catch you next time and over the holiday season this year at Maple Leaf for another new coffee video. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or keep an eye on our Instagram or Facebook pages for new coffee announcements. Take care.